Hey, so I just want to make a quick video showing some Affliction rotation tips for different fight scenarios. I'm going to start by showing a single target, then two target, and then hopefully some AoE with the Sow the Seeds talent. So first of all, for single target, this is your talent layout. We're going to be running Malefic Grasp, Contagion, Soul Harvest, and Siphon Life. Demonic Circle is a really great utility spell. It doesn't really change in raid. You'll sometimes use Howl of Terror for AoE interrupts on Portal Keeper. Um, and Grimoire of Supremacy never changes. You always have Grimoire of Supremacy. And then lastly, Burning Rush is a really great utility tool where you can use it to move around quickly. Okay. So Malefic Grasp is the one that you are. It's the talent that dictates how you play in single target. What that means is that I want to maximize my uptime of that drain buff. Because Malefic Grasp is while you're draining, all of your spells are buffed by 25%. In addition, we have Contagion, which is whenever there's an unstable affliction on the target, your spells are buffed by 15%. And then lastly, the reason Siphon Life is the best choice for this current raid is because it is buffed by your 4-piece bonus. One more note about talents. Soul Harvest is really the go-to on most fights, unless there's very heavy ad cleave like ANR, sometimes High Command, sometimes Portal Keeper. And with Soul Harvest, it's really your only damage cooldown. So a lot of your play on single target is about managing your resources for Soul Harvest windows and maximizing those Soul Harvest windows. And what I mean by maximizing also is maximizing the duration of it. So Soul Harvest gains increased duration for each Agony target. So on a fight like High Command, you're not going to cast Soul Harvest on the pull. Instead, you're going to wait for the first ad spawn, Agony all 3 ads, then pop Soul Harvest, and now you have a 28-second Soul Harvest instead of a 16-second. So things like that. Also on Argus, I save my Soul Harvest for the first gift of the C buff, the Crit Mastery. So yeah, as you get more comfortable with the rotation itself, you'll start being able to play around with how you manage your resources and how you use Soul Harvest during a fight, because that's a very important part of being an efficient Affliction lock player. Since Malefic Grasp is our highest priority, that means that whenever we're draining, or whenever we're casting Unstable Affliction and we're draining, we don't want to have to interrupt that drain cycle. So I'm not going to start a drain cycle if I know if I'm going to have to move soon, or if I know that my dots are falling off soon, or if I'm low on mana. So it's all about setting up these opportunities, these little like 8-second windows where you can just plant yourself in one spot and drain unstable afflictions. So the way that looks is on the pull for a fight like Garathi or Varimathras, I'm going to pre-potion at 1 second on the timer because there's nothing I'm pre-casting. I'm going to apply all my dots with Agony being first so it can start ramping up. And then I'm going to do a drain cycle with Soul Harvest. Now, when you cast Soul Harvest is actually somewhat important. You want to maximize how much time you're getting with Unstable Afflictions during that 16-second window on a single target fight. And to do that, you actually cast it after your first 2 Unstable Afflictions. The same actually goes for Reap as well. So the reason being is that if you're quick enough with your Unstable Affliction, Soul Harvest, Reap, Drain, you're draining on the target before that first tick of the first UA actually hits. Because if this is the progress bar of UA, the first tick is actually right about here. So I can cast 2 Soul Harvest, Reap, Drain, and now I'm draining before that first one hits here on the progress bar, and you'll see the debuffs over here. One last thing, this is a display that shows what I'm casting, so you can keep track of the spells I'm casting. And then just to show my weak orders very quickly, these are my Reap stacks, my Reap buff duration, and my Soul Harvest duration and cooldown. So these are some of the 3 main things I'll be looking at for a single target fight. I've also got some others like potion duration, time warp, concordance, trinket procs, things like that. But these are the main 3 to look at. Okay. So we'll do a fake timer here. Make sure I'm in the right gear set. And actually talk about that really quick too. For single target, haste and mastery are relatively equal weight. I like leaning more towards haste just because it gives me a little bit more quicker drain cycles, which lets me move more. Um, but they're relatively equal weight. And then you want to make sure you have a healthy amount of critical strike too. This is my main single target layout where I'm using Agony, or I'm sorry, a Hood of Eternal Disdain, which makes your Agony tick faster for more soul shards, and also the Power Chord of Left Tendrils, which gives you a chance to refund a soul shard on some of your unstable afflictions. So my main single target build is all about resource management. Another option is also Hood, Pride as, or any other good stat sticks. And same thing, you can see I've switched all my gear around just to try and maintain that stat weight of haste and mastery relatively equal, and crit also healthy. Okay, so we'll do a fake timer. Get right into it. So again, I'm gonna pre-pot at 1, apply all my dots, and then do a drain cycle. Agony, Siphon Life, Corruption, Unstable Affliction, Soul Harvest, Reap, Drain. Very quick button presses on those the Soul Harvest, Reap, Drain. Now I'm making sure I drain all my unstable afflictions, refreshing my dots, and I wouldn't normally go empty, but because I have Soul Harvest, I want to get another 2 UA cycle. So that's the opener. Now we're in our normal rotation, and because I only have 2 shards, 1 reap, I'm not going to spend the reap, and I'm only going to cast 1 for the cycle. So I'm just draining. Mana's getting low, so I'll life tap, refresh the dots, hopefully get another shard. Yep, there it is. 2 UAs, reap, drain. Channeling. I can refresh the channel at any time. I can keep spamming it like this, doesn't matter. I just want to make sure I drain all the UAs. Now, one thing also is that while I'm refreshing and while I'm life tapping, this is the time to move. This is when you're using that opportunity to move for mechanics. So just an example of that, here I am doing a drain cycle in the middle of the room on Garathi. Oh, I got decimation. Now I run to the side. I'm refreshing dots while I'm running. I drop the decimation off, maybe refresh them again just so they're rolling, and now I can stop in the middle. Now right there, the only reason I cast 1 UA is because I was low on reap. So right now, I'm just going to keep 1 rolling just to try and build up some reap. I'm making sure I drain it. I got some 2 priest procs, so I'm not going to be able to get the full duration without interrupting, so that's fine. I just want to make sure I don't let Agony fall off. And there you can see I had 2 shards, I had reap, and I can use them for another cycle. One last thing to wrap up the single target rotation, I can see that Soul Harvest is coming off cooldown soon. So I'm going to just cast 1 UA. I'm not going to spend this reap. Right now I'm trying to save up shards and save up reap for the UA, or for the Soul Harvest window. So right as Soul Harvest is coming off, I want to make sure all my dots are up. 2 UAs, Soul Harvest, Reap, Drain. Also, that'd be where I'd second potion, ideally before the UAs. Unless I was saving second potion for, execute phase or some specific time warp timing. So if there's no other thing dictating when you should second potion, it's just good to do it on your second Soul Harvest cycle. Okay, a few notes. Sometimes because I'm draining UAs, my Siphon Life and Corruption fall off. That is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. The main thing is that you don't want to let Agony fall off, because if you lose the 10 stacks of Agony, that's a real big bummer. So we'll get the pet passive here. Okay, so now I'll show talent setup and rotation for 2 target like Hounds. So because it's 2 targets, I'm going to have less time to drain. Malefic Grasp is not the go-to. Instead, I'm going to take Writhe and Agony. And that also has the benefit of increasing the Agony damage on both targets. Same line of thinking, I'm not going to be able to keep an Unstable Affliction on both targets at all times. I'm just not going to get that many shards. So instead of Contagion, I'm going to take Absolute Corruption. And then Soul Harvest is still the go-to. And then for a fight like Hounds, where it's only ever 2 targets, I'm going to stick with Siphon Life, because it's also buffed by the 4-piece buff. But then for a fight like Coven, where there's just too many adds to fully maintain your dots on everything, while also making sure you don't get shard capped, I'm going to switch to Death's Embrace instead, which makes the rotation even simpler because you're only refreshing Agony on everything after Corruption is permanent. But I'll show the rotation for Hounds. Going to the gear set, for 2 target, Mastery outweighs Haste, but you don't want no Haste. Because haste is also how quickly your dots tick, which means how many shards your agony is giving you, etc. So you don't want to sacrifice all your haste for just mastery. That's a common mistake. You also still want to maintain that healthy level of crit, and ignore that. And then legendary choices. Hood is pretty much every situation, unless maybe you're running like Sacrolash and Sephuz for ANR. Hood is just good on any fight because it increases your shard generation, which is your main throughput of damage. If I look at that single target rotation, you can see how much the unstable affliction was compared to my other abilities. So shards are king. So on a 2-target fight, similar on the pull, I'm going to get my dots up on the target, both targets. Then I'm going to cast all of my UAs under Soul Harvest to get maximum buff on that pull. Then from there, it's all about maintenance. So I'm only going to be casting 1 UA every approximately 8 seconds to keep the 4-piece buff active. And then I'm just going to be making sure that my Agony and Siphon Life are always up on the targets as long as possible, especially Agony. So I'll put on that gear set. Cool. So we have a pull timer. It's ticking down. At 1 second, I'll pre-pot. Now Agony, Siphon Life, Corruption, Agony, Siphon Life, Corruption. All my UAs, Soul Harvest Reap. Get all the UAs out there. A maximum of 5. Now the dots are low. Little lag spike there. Refresh the dots. Now the buff I'm watching in a 2-target fight like this is Tormented Agony. That's your 4-piece buff. So you can see I'm waiting till it's gone, and now I refresh it with the Unstable Affliction. Refresh the dots. Also notice that I'm killing time by draining. And I'm refreshing both targets, their dots, in pairs. So right here, Agony's going to fall off first, so we'll get that. Then Agony, Siphon Life, Agony, Siphon Life. So if I'm only watching one, if I know that I've refreshed both at the same time, I know that the other is getting low as well. So I'm watching Tormented Agony, start casting that. Agony, Siphon Life, Agony, Siphon Life. And again, similar to the single target, when you're refreshing dots, that's when you can move. So let's say I know that Siphon Corruption is about to come out on dogs. Well, now's a great time to refresh my dots. We'll get the Fire Dog over there, and now I'm back over here stacked with my team for the Siphon Corruption. Another nuance here is when you should be spending your Reap stacks. Ideally, it's when you have external buffs. I don't mean to be shard capping here. It's hard to play and talk. So what I mean by that is Concordance. Maybe I would spend them here, or Catalyst, or Norganons. If I had those up, maybe I would spend 2 UAs and use my Reap stacks. Instead, though, right now I'm actually just saving up shards and Reap for Soul Harvest coming up. But I want to get shard caps, so I'll dump 2 of those. Refresh the dots. I'm draining. Keep Tormented Agony up. Don't get shard capped. And now you can see Soul Harvest is coming up. Dots are fresh. Now I can start casting UAs. There's the Reap. There's the Soul Harvest. I'm getting all of these out. This is also when I would second potion, but ideally before the Soul Harvest, just to maximize it. Get another UA. Get the dots. And you can see with that Soul Harvest burst window, your numbers skyrocket. With good external procs like the trinkets, that would easily be 3 million damage during that window for damage. Okay, so I'm just maintaining. I'm draining during the downtime. Watching Tormented Agony. Okay, refresh it. I'm saving my Reap stacks because there's nothing real special going on right now. Maybe I'm looking for, well, there's Concordance. Let's see if we get a trinket proc. Catalyst is building up. Waiting for some sort of proc here. Just refreshing dots. Agony, Siphon Life. Oh, there's Catalyst. Now I'll use Reap. Maybe dump some extras. And you can see the numbers climb from that. Siphon Life, Agony, Agony, Siphon Life. And now this is around the time that I'd start saving up Reap and Shards again. So making sure I'm only casting one at a time. And then, you know, right as it's hitting about 5 seconds left, I'm doing one more dot refresh cycle. I'm life tapping, and then I would just unload everything again under Soul Harvest, all my Reap, all my Shards. Okay? So that's the general 2-target rotation. Really quickly, I'll show the best way to use Seed of Corruption. So let's get that pet on passive so I can leave combat. There we go. So for the Seed of Corruption play, let's say for example on ANR for all of the ad cleave, like on bats and things like that. I'm going to leave rather than Agony. I'm going to leave Absolute Corruption because it's really strong on ANR. There's some cases for Empowered Life Tap, like in Mythic Plus, but if you're not familiar with that, the percentage difference between Absolute Corruption and Empowered Life Tap for Sow the Seed spamming is marginal. So I would say just if you're more comfortable with Empowered Life Tap, I'm sorry, with if you're not comfortable with Empowered Life Tap, just leave Absolute Corruption. Then instead of Soul Harvest, I'm going to take Sow the Seeds. I might take something like Howl of Terror as an AoE interrupt or a way to proc Sefus. And then down at the bottom, for a fight like ANR, if I'm more concerned about my dots doing maximum damage at low health, I would take Death's Embrace. But if I was more concerned about getting as many Sow the Seeds as possible, I would take Soul Conduit. So I'll actually put on my ANR gear set. So you can see for ANR, I'm still maintaining a good amount of haste. I've still got higher mastery just because it's, you know, Absolute Corruption and there's lots of dots going out. And then a lot of crit. Crit and haste are the stats you're focused on when you're doing Sow the Seed spamming. Just to show you, this is my build for Mythic Plus, and you can see I've got relatively equal mastery and crit, but then a lot of haste. So this is my Mythic Plus. You know, I'm trying to blow everything up with Sow the Seeds. So haste is your biggest stat for throughput on seed damage. But I'll do my ANR gear set. Another thing is your Infernal will have your stun. Another great way to proc Sefus, another great way to control the ads on ANR. While your Doomguard has your interrupt, so mandatory for, you know, if you're focusing on a destructor or something and you have to interrupt the cast, or you're on the portal team and you have to interrupt the dude up there, then your Doomguard is your best bet. And another way to proc Sefus also is just manually casting Fear on a target. Boom, there's Sefus. Okay. So I'll wait till that wears off just so we can do a real run here. So here's a trash pack. Ideally, in most cases, your first cast should be a Seed of Corruption. Then after your Seed of Corruption, you want to put Agony on at least 3 targets to act just as your shard generation. And then what it looks like at that point is you're spending as many shards as you can on Sow the Seeds, on Seed of Corruption, until you have to refresh Agony again. Okay, so here's some bats coming in. I'm going to, Seed of Corruption, Agony, 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 Agony. Let's get the pet in there. I'll pop that first seed, and now I'm just spamming seed. Maybe I'll stun them with Sefus proc. See that? Okay, refresh Agony. It was a little late, but that's fine. More seeds. Just casting seeds. That's all I'm doing. Reap. Just use Reap when you have it. Refresh Agonies. I can also see that Sefus is coming off cooldown, so maybe because I don't have stun, I'll do a Fear. Boom. There's Sefus. More seeds. Okay. Make sure my agonies are out there for shard generation. And that's literally it. I'm just casting seed as many times as I can. I shouldn't have reaped there, but I'm distracted. You can forgive me. Sephuz is off cooldown. I'll stun again for the proc. No shards. There it is. More shards. Give me shards. There they are. Nope. Yep. So you can see, very simple. It's agony, seed, proc Sephuz if you have it and you can, and I'm easily maintaining over 4 million DPS on these 4 ads. Okay. So that's your basic rotation for trash for like a Mythic Plus on Fortified Week or fights like ANR. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Cheers.